leverage significant resources outside of the budget to help grow the economy, create jobs, and put supportive policies in place that are to the benefit of Nigerians. So I wanted to really mention that point. In this regard, I just want to add that a whole set of industrial incentive policies, which in Nigeria are typically called waivers and exemptions, are a deliberate act of government policy. And these are the policies that have underpinned the expansion that I spoke about in the cement, the sugar, and other industries, and enabled the creation of jobs. These policies can amount to significant amounts of money in the billions of naira, but they are what enable our manufacturing industries in particular to be competitive, to be able to expand in an era where they may face constraints on their competition and production, and thereby to create jobs. So the job creation is linked very much to these policies of government. And I want to say that people need to understand this, because at some stages, these policies are not well understood. And some people think these are policies that lead to fraud. I want to stay in the case of waivers and exemptions. There's been a debate going on, and to elucidate that in the past, these policies were not applied properly in the way they should, and they have been restructured and revamped so that from 2012 on, they're on a sectoral basis. Anybody operating within the sector has access to the same incentives and the same level playing field that everyone else has. But we need to understand these policies as incentives to help our manufacturing grow. The second point I want to point out is the level of transparency and detail of the Nigerian federal government budget. In all my years working across developing countries, and I'm glad the international institutions are here to say, the African Development Bank, the World Bank, and the IMF are here, they can give us a sense. I've not seen budgets as comprehensive and detailed that go down to how much is spent buying plates, forks, and knives, catering for food at the State House. It doesn't exist. And I'm proud that in this country, we do not have a problem with laying out the details of the budget so that Nigerians can look. We just heard some comments by the civil society gentleman about a detail in the budget. I think the DG budget will correct that particular impression, because the GIFMIS, which we implemented this year, there were some errors that arose in the GIFMIS that led to those. But apart from that, what I'm proud about is that we have a level of detail in this budget that allows Nigerians to see down to the last naira what it is being spent on. I think it's a big advantage. I thank our civil society colleague for recognizing this transparency. It is designed to engage the public, in the debate, to show them exactly where the money is going. So we should see this as a big advantage of this country's budget, which you do not see in other countries. When you travel elsewhere and you look at their budget, if it's available, it's usually much more aggregated than what you see in the Nigerian budget. Our budget is 3 volumes, because we've gone to the last detail to share with Nigerians what it is, so that they can put their voices forward to the MDAs, to the ministries, departments, and agencies, to the Ministry of Finance, to say, this is what we think and this is what we think. And we are very happy that this budget has enabled that engagement in that kind of conversation. My third comment concerns our budget process. In preparing the budget each year, we make every effort to be consultative by inviting stakeholders and consulting them and talking to them about the process. But of course, increasingly, as time goes along, I've found that the budget process is also becoming difficult and more challenging for the executive and the legislature to agree on key parameters. I want to thank the National Assembly, because I think this year we engaged very deeply, more than we did before, with the various committees to try to come to an understanding. But it ended up taking some more time. And one of the reasons it took more time was the issue of the benchmark oil price for the budget. And incidentally, we've also answered extensively on this issue in the 50 questions. I think in the future we need to consider moving to a system where we have an objective and more, should we say, maybe depoliticized process for some of the parameters that we need to consider in order to move the budget process along expeditiously. For example, we can consider what some other countries who have gone through this exercise are doing. Chile has copper as their main product, and what they have is an independent panel of experts that are independent of both the executive and the legislature, and they set up a methodology that is agreed. Whatever they bring in terms of the copper price is the benchmark price that is used for preparing the budget. But it's done independently and removes the rancor out of that process. In Ghana and Mexico, Ghana actually studied what was happening here in Nigeria and devised their own system that has a predetermined formula for setting the benchmark underpinned by law, so that there is no argument by either the executive or the legislature. It just happens, and it's automatic the way that it is done. So I really would like also to appeal to the legislature, particularly the Honorable Chair and Deputy Chair here, that we look at this and see if together, working together, we can come up with an objective and independent process that can determine some of the benchmarks we need for our budget and take it away from the realm of argument so that we can move this forward. If other countries have done it, Nigeria is certainly capable of doing it. I believe that if we can come to this, that the slippages in our timetables and the other issues that occur along the way will be reduced, and we'll be able to produce and pass and move to implementation of the budget in a much more expeditious manner. The fourth point I want to make highlights the concern on the structure of our budget. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the high share of recurrent expenditures in the budget is of great concern to us, as it reduces the size of funds available for investments in capital projects. We all know that, and I want to state categorically that this has been our view from the first day that we came into this job, and has been the view of the Budget Office that Nigeria needs to move to a different structure of its budget. To this end, we worked hard to reduce the ratio of the recurrent to capital from what we found in 2011, which was 74% when I started work, to 71.5% in 2012, further to 67.5% in 2013. But we are back to 74% in 2014. And why is this? We are here because we have not yet been able to make the choices needed to change the structure of the budget. You will see that in the presentations that will come up, and maybe later on in the day, the reason why we have a very high ratio of recurrent now, after a very good effort, when I was minister first time, we tried to take the ratio down to about 65. It came up again and then went down. But the present situation we're in today occurred from the awards to salaries that were given in 2010. This jacked up the recurrent budget, and I'll have more to say about it, considerably, to almost, the personnel bill, I believe, went to almost double its size. And that changed considerably the structure of the budget. As we speak, the pension benefits, the arrears of pensions, attendant on this, we've only just begun to factor in the pension implication. For the military, we did it in 2013. For civilians, we are factoring it in this budget, and it's adding another 27 billion naira. And we still have